the skillful cultivation of the four Brahma Vihara. And when I first presented the four Brahma Vihara some weeks ago, I made a description, I described, but we didn't have much time to practice because these four Brahma Viharas actually are for us to understand first of all, and then to practice. Because it's, in a way, it's like swimming. Swimming is not something that we just talk about. Yeah, when we learn about what swimming is, we have to go and practice it in order to get better and better at swimming. In the same way, also with other activities such as cooking, you know, and running. If we want to improve, if we really want to understand, we have to do it. So in the same way, the four Brahma Viharas, once we understand it, we must put it into practice. Or else we will only have a very hollow, that means it's not filled, it's not full understanding of what this Brahma Vihara are all about. And the Brahma Vihara can make a big difference to the way that we live our lives. It really can shift our paradigm, as to how we view the world and how we live in it in a very happy way, so that we are happy. And if we just learn and understand it, it's fine. But if we don't put it into practice, it will never touch us. So I'm encouraging brothers and sisters, to, once you understand what it is through this sharing, to actually put it into practice. And at the end of my sharing, there is a method to the practice. So we will go through the understanding first, the knowledge, and then we will try and see whether we have time to actually put it into practice. During my first talk, I emphasized the aspect of metta. Metta is one of the four Brahma Viharas. So today we'll go through the other three to really understand what it is, because many people, although they have heard of the four Brahma Vihara, they only know about metta, and they might know about compassion, karuna, but the other two are not very familiar to them. So today, as we are looking at the complete set, let us look at the whole collection of Brahma Vihara taught by the Buddha to the Sangha at that time, and as it comes through the centuries to us as well now, today. So, this is a very important statement to let us understand how we can improve the quality of our life. The quality of our life depends very, very much on the quality of our minds, because it is the mind that makes sense of the world that we are in contact with. In actual fact, we have only 6 channels on our astro. We nowadays, a lot of our TV comes through astro. But young people very seldom watch TV nowadays. They have their own media channels, mainly internet-based. But in actual fact, when we look at the world, we can only connect with the world in 6 ways. And that is through our 6 sense bases. Through the eye, through the ear, through the nose, through our taste buds, through the skin, the organ of the skin, and the nervous system, as well as through our minds. So all in all, there are 6. So if we think of ourselves as a piece of music, it is a 6-part orchestra. That means all the instruments only come up to 6. That's all we have. We look at the world, it's huge and there are so many things going on. But when we come down to it, when we really think about it, we only connect to one of the 6 at any one time, which means to say there is seeing only at one time. When the mind has consciousness, that moment of consciousness, it can be an eye consciousness or it can be an ear consciousness. So that's the nature of how the mind works. And coming back to this statement, the quality of our life depends very much on how we condition our minds, how we in fact teach our minds. But when we are young, other people teach us, and we also come to our own conclusions about what the world is. So if we do not know how to condition our minds, if we do not know how to cultivate our minds, I can safely say that the quality of our life will be very poor. There will not be a very high quality life. We let the mind do what it wants to do. Very often, the mind that is not well trained, the mind that is not knowledgeable will get us into a lot of trouble. So therefore, understanding the nature of the mind and how we make our decisions is very important to the quality of our life. Can we have a good life? Can we have a life that we can enjoy? And at the end of, this journey we call life, can we be satisfied with our life? Now, these are important things for us as human beings, then as Buddhists to really think about. Next, everything depends on right view. The quality of our life depends on the views that we have. Views are very, very important because these are the ways we decode. The view is the way we make meaning of what we get through our senses. So if our views are wrong, we will very often come to the wrong conclusions. But if our views are right, we will come to good conclusions, right conclusions that will determine how we live our lives in the right way. For example, if we think that committing crime, robbing people, stealing things, taking drugs is right for us, that's our view. Because people have told us and we believe them, we accept what they say. So our view is we can do whatever the mind tells us to do. And within a short time, we will find that we are in a lot of trouble. We have no precepts. We don't observe precepts. We have no regard for the law of the country. We just do whatever we feel like doing. So if we follow that kind of a view, very, very quickly, the authorities, the government will come after us. But if we have the right view, it doesn't mean that we accept everything we come across in life. What it means is we have the right lens of the spectacles by which we can understand life. So therefore, right view, and most of you will know, in the Noble Eightfold Path taught by the Buddha, right view comes right at the beginning. It is the start. Because once we have right view, we know how to walk the Noble Eightfold Path. So it is an important aspect of understanding the Buddha's teachings. So I put it here in order to make a case for the practice of the understanding and the practice of the Brahma Vihara. Every time we prepare a talk, and we come and share it with brothers and sisters, what we are trying to do is to change people's views, is to change your view. Because once we have put people facing the right view, we can be sure that they will do the right thing, live life in the right way. So what are we? Dhamma speakers. What are Dhamma speakers? What are the knowledgeable and the wise monks and nuns? When they come and speak, what do they want to do? What they want to do is to change the views of the community, of those who are willing to listen. Because we know we come here not always with the right view. So when we listen to the wise explanation, the talks that are so full of wisdom, our views can start to change. And when these views change, automatically, the way that we look at the world will also change. And then the nature of our lives will also change. So right view is very important. There are many people around the world, they have no regards for right view. They don't really want to find out what is right, but they accept, what they have been told. So the conditioning of, in fact, wrong view is very dangerous. The Buddha has said, he sees wrong view as being the catalyst for suffering in our lives. So the less wrong view we have and the more right view we have, the less will be the suffering in our lives. So thank you for allowing me to make the case, to shift your view, if possible, if I can do a good job, your understanding of the Brahma Viharas will be brought into your views. And then, of course, you are free, as the Buddha said, to make your own decisions. But to try and influence the views is a very important part of bringing the Dhamma to the masses. Here is a Zen saying. When I came across it, it actually struck me. So I felt I need to share it. It is from the Zen school, and it goes, it never occurs to the ordinary person to control his or her own mind. It's very difficult because no one ever tells us your mind must follow such and such a pattern. So therefore, to the ordinary person, just let the mind go where it wants to go. Indulge in the whims and the fancies of the mind, which means to say whatever the mind thinks, we will do. So it never occurs to people. But here now, within the framework of the Buddha's teachings, we have to control our minds. It's not as though we are controlling it by putting chains around it. It is by presenting more right view. And so the more right view we absorb, the more we will know what is right for us to do. So the ordinary person must make that change, accept the fact that he or she must at least try to cultivate the mind. And then there will be a paradigm shift. So if we can accept that, it will be much easier for us to learn new things. So let me share the wise words of this Zen master. And he's very famous. Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh. He is in Vietnam at the moment. He lived in France for many, many years because he escaped from Vietnam, and now he has gone back to Vietnam to stay. So Venerable Master said this. Let me read it from the slide. So in our own consciousness, there is hell and there is also paradise. We are capable of being compassionate, understanding, and full of joy. If we pay attention only to the negative things in us, especially the suffering of past hurts, we are wallowing in our sorrows and not getting any positive nourishment. We can practice appropriate attention, watering the wholesome qualities in us like a plant by touching the positive things that are always available inside and around us. That is good food for our mind. When we give the mind good food, we are in a way changing its course. Yeah, we are in a way nurturing it to grow strong and wholesome. So these are the wise words, yeah, of Venerable Master Thich Nhat Hanh. So he says, if you want to suffer, it's your choice. If you want to be happy and free from most of the suffering, yeah, it's also our choice. So where our minds go is very important to us because it can determine our happiness or our sorrow, our lack of happiness. Yeah, also can determine how much, yeah, we are going to suffer, yeah, as well. So we have the choice. Now, if we are born with a thinking mind, there are some people, they are born without the ability to control their faculties. So there's not much we can say about it. But if you are here today, brothers and sisters, you can make the choice. So hopefully, yeah, what I share with you will convince you to make the choice of developing the 4 Brahma Viharas. So I shared this chart also when I first talked about the Brahma Viharas. There are 4 of them. There is Metta, Karuna, Mudita, and Upekkha. Metta means loving kindness, the sense of friendliness and warmth towards others. When we open our hearts to all beings, we experience metta. Karuna is also metta, but it is metta that is aware of other people's suffering, and not just other people, our own suffering as well. It is aware of the suffering that exists. So metta is the base. It is the foundation. Then we add other flavorings like, yeah, karuna and mudita, which is altruistic joy, sympathetic joy. It is the happiness we can feel or experience when other people are happy. So in this world, we mix with many, many people, our families, our people, colleagues, yeah, in the company, yeah, and a lot of other acquaintances. This is when they are happy. They meet with some success. We are happy for them. And then there is upekkha. Yeah. Upekkha means equanimity. Equanimity means it is metta, meeting with wisdom. Metta and wisdom get together and then gives us the view that life has its ups and downs. It is, a lot of the time, it is not within our full control how we are feeling. So, and this is because of the unsettled mind. Our mind is not easy to convince. So here, what it means is once we can settle the mind to some kind of calmness, some kind of equanimity, then it will be much happier. It will be more balanced. So equanimity is a balanced mind. And then I talked about the far enemy and the near enemy of these mental states. The far enemy of metta is, of course, enmity, anger at people. But the near enemy, it is not the end, it is the enemy that is difficult to see. It is there, but we don't see it easily. If we wrongly develop the Brahma Viharas, the near enemy will creep up on us. So the near enemy of metta is actually, instead of friendliness, we get attached to people. Then sensual desire comes up especially if that person is of the opposite sex. Yeah, but it depends on you. Some people like those of the same sex. Right? But whatever it is, if there is a desire coming up, yeah, it is the near enemy. Karuna, compassion. The far enemy is cruelty, but the near enemy is grief, sorrow. And then you start crying when you encounter people who are suffering. That is not karuna. That is not compassion. Compassion, you might be surprised to understand, is a happy state. There is happiness in the mind, but it is not a light kind of happiness. It is a kind of heavy happiness because we become aware of the scope of suffering, yeah, of other people. So when we understand suffering, it makes us happy, yeah, because then, yeah, we can see it for what it is. But because we are aware of suffering, it makes the mind, yeah, more heavy. So it is happy, but it is heavy. So the near enemy, yeah, which is no longer karuna or compassion, is pity, grief, sorrow. Yeah, we start crying, we break down. Why are people suffering like that? So we cannot help them because we are already caught in their suffering. Yeah, so therefore, karuna has its roots in wisdom. We can understand suffering. Therefore, I am in a place, in a position to help others. That's what it really intends to do, to really help others in a very meaningful way. Mudita, the far enemy, is of course jealousy. When other people experience success, then we become jealous. We don't like it. We also say, how come I am not enjoying this type of success? So jealousy arises. And it's quite easy to see. But the near enemy, not easy to see, is you get attached to people so that you can get something from that success. Yeah, you have an ulterior motive for getting to know them. So therefore, we must be aware of these things if they are in our mind. Yeah, these intentions, these mental states. And upekkha is when metta is paired with wisdom, and we can see the ups and downs of life. Then the far enemy, of course, is restlessness. We get caught up in the ups and downs of life, irritation, in fact. But the near enemy is indifference. I don't care. Yeah, I don't want to care. Yeah, that is the mental state. So some people say, oh, he doesn't care. He is full of equanimity. That is not true. That caring, yeah, has got no metta in it. So if there is no metta, yeah, in the mind, it cannot be a good state. It is a near enemy. That means you just don't want to be involved in other people's suffering. So these are the 4 Brahma Viharas. And we'll talk about why they are so important in our lives. Let me share with you the findings of Harvard University. And as you know, Harvard is a very respected name in education, and they are located in the US. This research found that if you have happy friends, you will become happy like them. If you are happy, let's say we understand about metta, we understand about the Brahma Viharas, we develop this happiness, the people close to us will absorb that happiness. Do you believe it? This research done by American researchers, they are scientists, have found that it is true. When you mix with happy people, you yourself will become happy. And so what they did was they researched the happiness of 5,000 people. And they came to this conclusion that if you mix with happy people, you become happy in 3 levels. That means you become happy, your friends become happy, your friends' friends also become happy. Happiness spreads, yeah? And their friends' friends also become happy. 3 levels. And surprisingly enough, that effect, this happiness that spread, can last for about 1 year. 1 year, it can keep on spreading. This is not a Buddhist report. Yeah, it is not a Buddhist case. It is American Western researchers sharing their research findings with us. They are psychologists, they are scientists. This is what they have found out. So I share this because I want to convince brothers and sisters that happiness can be transmitted to other people, yeah, that you know. So if you develop metta, you spread it to others, they will appreciate you for it. And they will know who are the happy people. I want to mix with them. Who are the unhappy, grouchy people? I don't want to mix with them because they also affect me. They affect my mental states. They affect the way I live life. Keep away from grouchy people. Mix more with happy people because they make you happy. Therefore, the practice of metta is very, very useful. So these are the 4 Brahma Viharas. They steady our heart. When we love people, when we open our hearts to people around us, when we have compassion and sympathetic joy, and our minds know how to be balanced, our hearts, our life become more and more steady. And this statement, you will be surprised. You bring down your defenses, but you cannot be hurt. We very frequently in life, when we go to work, when we get to know other people, even sometimes in our circle of close friends, we put up defenses. And when they say things that we don't like, boom, our defenses go up. When they do things that we don't like, defenses go up. We want to defend ourselves. Who are we defending? Our ego. We want to defend our ego, our sense of self. But when we practice the Brahma Viharas, we open up our hearts to the people around us. We are not so focused on defending ourselves. I will just accept you. I will just love you for whom you are. Whatever you are, I will open my heart to you. You cannot be hurt. Because you are so full of metta, you are so full of karuna and mudita and upeka, the equanimity. Your heart is so absorbent, yeah, that even if you punch it, the punch is reflected out. Yeah, it's like those, very, very soft sponges. You poke it, it pokes out again. You really don't mind because you are so full of love and kindness towards other people. It's like a mother. Even when a child starts to scream at the mother says, okay, don't worry about it. Yeah, they are not hurt because they love the child so much. So therefore, metta, karuna, mudita, and upeka has this amazing effect on us. Say what you want to say, do what you want to do, as long as it doesn't hurt me physically, it's okay. Yeah, I understand that you are suffering. You recognize other people's suffering. Why do they do this? Why do they hit out? at the world, at others, it's because they are suffering. So when you understand that suffering, you yourself will not be hurt. Yeah, because you are wiser, you can see. You are in fact, absorbing, all the difficulties, and it passes out, at the back. Yeah, it's like a sponge. You absorb it and then you squeeze it, it goes out. It doesn't have lasting effect, on you. It's a wonderful thing. Yeah, I for many years, I was a very committed Vipassana meditator. Oh, Vipassana is it? Yeah, because Vipassana teaches us how to overcome suffering. So the practice of the Satipatthana was very important, in my spiritual endeavor. But then when I learned more and more and more, my teachers who taught me Vipassana, they also started to teach about the 4 Brahma Viharas. And when I started to practice alongside the Vipassana, I found that it really gave me a lot of joy for the one thing. It also improved my practice of Vipassana. It really has made an effect on me. So I thoroughly, wholeheartedly recommend it for brothers and sisters. Here I'd like to share this main headline. In New Zealand, a few years ago, there was a shooting. And this gunman, he did not like Muslims, so he attacked the Muslim mosque and killed quite a number of people. And the Prime Minister, this lady, Jacinda Ardern, she responded with compassion. And she went to those places where the people were shot, and she hugged them. Everyone who was affected by this terrible event, feel so wanted. That's why they appreciated what she did. The other countries who were not so sympathetic, said that, oh, you have to clamp down, these people are dangerous, meaning to say that Muslims should not be given so much compassion. She didn't care about what they said. She opened up her heart to the Muslims, that were hurt, tremendously hurt by this terrible incident. And they loved her for it. They appreciated the way that she tried to alleviate their suffering. And until today, they recognize her for what she has done. So we have to understand the common condition for all living beings. We have happiness, yes, but it runs alongside suffering. Suffering is always with us. So we know our suffering. There's this man, quite a miserable person. He said, I'm not much, but I'm all I think about. He appreciates that he is nothing great, but I am all I have. So I think a lot about me, about who I am, about my own happiness and my suffering. When you do that, you cut off, people. You cannot make connections. Your heart is closed to those people. So therefore, we have to practice more and more. This lady, Jacinda Ardern, she has natural compassion. So she's able to open up to people. Here in this smaller picture is the happiest man in the world. They did the research and they came to the conclusion, this Buddhist monk of the Tibetan tradition, Venerable Matthew Ricard, is the happiest man in the world because their machines could not measure his happiness. His happiness went off the scale. So they said he is the happiest man in the world. And he's so full of compassion. Here he is with all the goats running around him. He lives in Tibet in the Himalayas. Yeah, and he is much loved by human beings and non-human beings, meaning the animals. Again, I would like to share this research with brothers and sisters. It shows the manner kindness spreads in a community. This study, by a group of scientists who researched 25,000 participants, found that when people see an act of kindness, they are inspired to be kind themselves. We need motivation. We need a good example. We need inspiration. And so therefore, when we see people being kind, people being good, people being compassionate, it drives us to be compassionate ourselves. Because if we don't see good examples, our mind settles into itself and say, they do what they want, I do what I want. No, this is not the way. So therefore, being Buddhist, being guided by wisdom and compassion, we should do all these compassionate acts. And there are Buddhist organizations that specializes in social work. So when we see them, we want to join them because it gives us that good feeling of compassion, of kindness, of warmth, of love. Our hearts open. It is not stuck. It's not cold. It is open living beings. So this is what we should do. Be a good example. Be the example that people want to follow. When they see that we are being kind, we are being compassionate, other human beings will jump on the bandwagon. So be kind, and you will have a kinder community built up around you. But if you don't do anything kind, human beings will go on their own natural way. They won't change. But we should be, because we are disciples of the Buddha, we develop our wisdom and our compassion. So we do good things and other people will then follow us. I'd like to share this example of sympathetic joy, of mudita. It is a practice found in Africa. It's called Ubuntu. So there was this anthropologist. He went to Africa to study African culture. And he went to one village and said to the children, let's play this game. I will put a basket of delicious fruits under a tree. Then you come over here, I draw the line. Then when I say go, you race to the basket. And the first one to reach it will get all the fruits. Those fruits will belong to you. It is a race. So let us line up. And when this Western anthropologist said, go, they didn't race. They walked hand in hand in a line towards the basket of fruits. And then they started to share those fruits. So he was so surprised. He said, why don't you race? Because the first one will get everything. And they said, how can we race? If one gets and the others don't get, they will feel unhappy. We don't want that. They want to live happily together without anyone being miserable. It's called Ubuntu. And we should learn from this. The meaning of it is, I am because we are. So everybody shares in that joy. No one is left out. But strangely enough, in our civilized society, it is winner take all. I get there first, I take everything. I wall up everything, it's for me. You guys, too bad, you don't get anything. But in these societies that are so-called less civilized, they know how to look after each other. and they are more happy because of it. And we civilized people become more miserable. Is there a lesson to learn? I would say yes, yeah, to learn. Now, let us examine equanimity. And here is an American meditation teacher by the name of Sharon Salzberg. If you go online, you can see that she teaches the four Brahma Vihara quite a lot. Yeah, she in fact specializes in the Brahma Vihara. But she did Vipassana, yeah, at the under famous meditation teachers in Burma, in India, in Thailand too, I believe. So this is what she says about equanimity. Equanimity's strength is based on understanding that the conflict and frustration we feel when we cannot control the world doesn't come from our inability to do so, but rather from the fact that we are trying to control the uncontrollable. This is what human beings want to do. Human beings want to control the world so that it fits perfectly with our lives. But the world, nature, the universe doesn't really care about what you want to control. The universe has its own way, yeah, of operating. It is understanding that we cannot control it. It is uncontrollable. So we open our hearts to what it actually is, rather than try to control the nature. We know better than to try to prevent the seasons from changing or the tide from coming in. If we live in the Western countries, you can see that there are 4 seasons. Basically, there are 4 seasons. And we cannot stop any of the seasons. For example, winter is very, very cold. And many people don't like the winter, but they will live with it because it will change. It's a cycle. After winter comes the warmer months. So Sharon says, following autumn, winter comes. We may not prefer it, but we trust it. Why do we trust it? Because we can understand and accept its rightful place in a larger cycle, a bigger picture. So can we apply the same wise balance to the cycles and tides of pleasant and unpleasant and neutral experiences in our lives? Yeah, this is what we must do. We apply our wisdom that we are human beings. We grow old. Yeah, I used to have a lot of hair, now much less hair, and white hair as well. I used to have a lot of energy, but now less energy. So what happens? Some people, they don't like it. And there is a huge industry to support people who don't want to grow old, who manufacture cream and all kinds of treatment to stop the person from looking old. That's how they make their money. Billions. Actually, the beauty industry is worth billions of US dollars, not ringgit, US dollars. So this industry relies on the fact that people do not want to look old, do not want to grow old. They want to go against nature, the tide of nature. So it's very profitable. And people spend so much money on all these treatments and the cream and the oils and the paste and all these things because they want to stop it. But can we really stop it? We can put something on top of it, but we can't really stop it. This is nature. And when we have equanimity, wisdom with metta, it's a happiness, but it's a very, very balanced kind of happiness. There is wisdom that sees. We can't stop it. Yeah, that's the way it is. We are born into this world And there's not much we can do about it. There have been, for example, the Chinese emperor, Qin Shi Huangdi. Shi Huangdi, he dreaded, he really did not want to grow old. So he sent out all his people to go and look for the medicine, the elixir, that will stop him getting old. And he said, if you cannot find this medicine, this antidote for getting old, don't come back, I'm going to chop your neck. So needless to say, none of them came back because none of them found the cure to old age and sickness and death. There is no cure. So what do? We develop our wisdom to understand, to live with it, and to be balanced, about how it happens in our lives. So here is the way I would like to explain it, the way the Brahma Viharas affect our lives. The way the Brahma Viharas, if we really want to practice it, how it seeps into different parts of our lives and make it more positive and wholesome. So here we are, the circle in the middle. On the Sunday, we listen to this sharing, this talk on the Brahma Vihara, and we keep it there. We don't really practice it. Then, when we finish the talk, you will go back to your family, to your work, to your social circles, to doing all these things that you have to do because they are your responsibility, or you do it because you enjoy it. So we have all these circles. And what you learn about the Dhamma stays in one circle because there is no practice. But once you practice, you can see this happening. The metta, the karuna, the mudita, and the upekkha will go beyond the confines of the Dhamma circle into your work life, into your family life, into your social life. And people will see it, that there is a very good change. There is a kind of a transformation in the way that we interact with them, in the way that we live our lives, in the way that our views a life, a more contented life, a life that we don't criticize others so much and find fault so much. And just because of that, you will find that you get on better with your colleagues, you will get on better with your family, you will get on better with your friends and acquaintances. You are not blind. You can see it, but you don't get angry. You don't get upset by coming into contact or observing or seeing all these things that you think are wrong in your life. So the four Brahma Viharas make us more accommodating. We can accept, we can accommodate. It doesn't mean we are blind and stupid. It means that we know what it is. And we know that life has its ups and downs. Sometimes will come, sometimes will go. So this is what I myself have experienced. I find that when I something I don't like, when I meet with some difficulty, the immediate reaction is to push it away, to get angry, to get frustrated. But when we have the Brahma Viharas with us, the space in our heart becomes bigger. We begin to accept. We begin to accommodate. We find a way to solve problems. It doesn't mean that the problems, we just leave it there. We can solve the problem, but we don't get frustrated or angry, or disturbed by those problems. This is the wonderful effect of the Brahma Viharas. It tempers you. Tempering means that it makes you more, in a way, more strong. You don't get irritated. You understand what is going on, but you don't get irritated or frustrated. You just go about trying to solve the problem. And you can see that the happiness in your life become stronger and will go into your work. And when you are happy at your work, everybody will notice. When you are happy in your family, everybody will notice. When you are happy with your friends and your social acquaintances, they will notice it too. How come you are so equanimous? How come you are so balanced? How come you are so good-natured about difficult times and difficult things happening? They also want to know. This is where I said you can share your happiness with them. They too will become more and more happy. So now let me share this with you. It is not thoroughly 100% about Buddhism, but it is a very interesting experiment done by this researcher called Masaru Emoto, and he calls it Heido. What he did was, he got water in a bowl, and then he called all the friends that he knew. He was a teacher, so he had some students to radiate either good or bad thoughts towards this water. And then what he did was, he froze the water in a very specific way, and then he looked at the nature of the water through a microscope. And when they radiated love and compassion, he found that beautiful crystals were formed in the frozen water. But when they thought about bad thoughts, evil thoughts, there were no crystals being formed. It was very haphazard, it was very random, and it was not attractive. There was no order to that, the nature of the water, the molecular nature of the water. So in the bottom rectangle, it says, he went to this lake called Fujiwara Dam. There was a dam, so there was water there. So they all stood at the edge of the dam, and they just, first of all, took a sample. Nothing, without doing anything. Then they conducted some Buddhist prayers. They did some Buddhist chanting. And after the chanting, they collected the water again. And they went back to their lab and they did the same process. And here you can see on the left, there was totally, it's a random structure. There is no order to the construction of the water molecules. But on the right-hand side, after they did their chanting, there must have been some good emotions radiated. You can see beautiful crystals being formed. And it shows that there is an order, there is construction, there is a nice format to the molecules being created. And it was beautiful, which means to say it's in harmony. So it's important, my dear brothers and sisters, to understand this, that emotions affect us. Why? Because our bodies are made up of 80% water. It can affect us. The matter affects us. It affects the water, and the water affects us, as this experiment has shown. It is a scientific, follows scientific processes. And if you go online, you can read more about Heido, in Japanese. So therefore, if we want to help people who are sick, help people who are not well, and help them to recover, we should take some water, and a whole group of all of us can radiate the metta towards the water and then let the person drink this water. Because then it would have some physical changes happening in that water. No doubt you can radiate metta, and this is a common Buddhist practice, to radiate metta to people who are not well. But it would also be good if you can radiate metta plus the water, ask that person, him or her, to drink the water that has absorbed positive, wholesome emotions in it, so that it has this beautiful crystalline structures in its construction. So I'm not sure what is the time. If we can practice. We are about coming to an end, right? So let me go through with it, and then perhaps we can find another time to do more practice together. There are some important pointers, preparation before we can do the practice. The first one is acceptance of the heart. What does this mean? It means you open your heart to the situation and accept whatever it is. As I said, this metta, we radiate metta towards the people who are sick. First of all, there must be acceptance of the situation, of the fact that your friend, your family member is sick. If you don't accept that fact, you are going to overlay a wholesome state of mind on top of an unwholesome state of mind. What does that mean? You do not like this person that you know being sick. There is a resistance. There is an aversion. There is a I don't like state of mind. So what do you do then? There is another state of mind you on top. And that state of mind is get well, get well, get well. So there are two states of mind actually facing off with each other. One is, I don't like it that you are sick. The other one is, please get well faster. So there is a kind of a resistance. The important thing now I've learned from my metta teachers is, first of all, accept. People get sick. People get cancer. People get all kinds of diseases here and there and everywhere. We can't stop it. Why? Because it is the cycle. It is nature. Life is like that. People live, people die. Loved ones, will pass away and leave us. Such is the way of life. So we have to accept. When we accept, there is less resistance. Then we can radiate our metta towards that person. Or else, you will be in conflict with yourself. One part of your mind will say, why are they sick? I don't like them to be sick. I like them to be well so that they can come back and enjoy with us. Then here you are learning, and here is somebody on a Sunday saying, metta, metta, metta. These two are going to oppose each other. Why? Because there is no wisdom. The view is not right. So if there is the view that there is suffering, we prevent the suffering, we accept the suffering, at least the resistance is lessened. Then you overlay the good thoughts, the good wishes, the aspirations towards that person. It becomes stronger and more wholesome. Next one is the softness of the mind. The mind must be soft in order to develop the Brahma Vihara. Because if the mind is not soft, how are you going to open your heart and develop these good qualities? The next one is you must have good intention. The good intention means I want to develop good mental states. Not just say, I hope the sickness will leave them. They will get better soon. Or I hope they will not get any good success, and I will get the only success. Those are not good intentions. So we must have the intention that everybody will have less suffering, will have more happiness, yeah, in their lives. So now let me share with you, yeah, if I may, the recitation. How it works is like this, especially for metta, right? We are making aspirations. We are sending out a wish. Sometimes the wish will be fulfilled. Sometimes the wish will not be fulfilled. We are making good wishes for people. So in our mind, we are practicing the 4 Brahma Viharas. Don't always think that when I practice this, there must be a good result. Sometimes there is not good result. But the good result that happens is we fill our minds with wholesome mental states. Metta is a wholesome mental state. Karuna is a good, wholesome mental state. Mudita and Upekkha are good, wholesome mental states. So that is our own training. And eventually it will get stronger and stronger and change our lives, change our views, change the way we understand how to live life. So this is very important, yeah, that we are making wishes. So now what do? First of all, we wish that we ourselves are well and happy. So these are the words. You try to develop the emotion in your heart. And in your head, you are reciting the words. So there are 2 things happening. The feeling, the emotion, the mental state in our heart, and the recitation of the words. So you can say, may I be well and happy, and try to get that mental, that state, yeah, that emotion in your heart area. It will be somewhere around here because the emotions, yeah, are around here. So develop that emotion of well and happy feelings, yeah, in this area. So the catalyst are these words. May I be well and happy. May I be free from harm and danger. May I be free from physical suffering. May I be free from mental suffering. May I be well and happy and peaceful. So these are the wholesome wishes. Then you go on to the bigger group. May all of us here in this Sunday meeting, may all of us here be well and happy, etc., etc. Then go to your family. Yeah, now it goes outwards. May my family be well and happy. Then may my Dhamma teachers, if you want, if not, it can be another person, yeah, that you are not attached to or attracted to. So may this person be well and happy. And then finally, may my Dhamma friends be well and happy. Not finally. And then you will go out to the entire world, the entire universe. So that's how it goes. From our heart here, it goes into the whole universe. Then the recitation is without limitation, without boundary. Meaning to say, you are not looking at groups, you are not looking at races, you are not looking at countries. Whoever, whatever they are, wherever they are, may they be well and happy. So it is boundless, there are no limitations. So you also have to think of them, but don't think clearly. Yeah, you don't make faces until you can see the face of your friend, the face of your family. No, just roughly have an idea and then radiate to them. Yeah. So you end up radiating to all beings. May all beings Yeah, large or small, near or far, seen or unseen, yeah, born or being born. This is the whole formula, right? You can radiate to all beings. Yeah, may they be well and happy. Then we'll go to Karuna. You can think of a hospital ward where people are not well, they are sick, they are in pain, they are suffering. And then you radiate, or you have a friend that is in pain, in having some kind of illness. So radiate your karuna to the friend, or think about the hospital setting. Then radiate, may you all here in the hospital, may you be free of physical suffering. May you be free of mental suffering. May your pain and suffering be eased. So without limitation, without boundary, may all beings be peaceful and safe. So that is the karuna aspect. Yeah, it's about suffering. And then the mudita is a little bit longer. It's not easy because very often it's hard for us to be happy about other people's successes. It's not easy, but you need to train yourself, because sometimes we are successful, they are successful too. And don't think that there is no mudita in your life. There's a lot of mudita. Sometimes as a father or as a mother, you know, your child starts to read, you get mudita. Yeah, and they start to talk in a very understandable way. They are talking, right? Mudita flows from your heart. Or your kid learns how to ride a bicycle on their own. Previously couldn't ride a bicycle, then can ride. That sense of happiness when you see your kid riding a bicycle or swimming or doing something, that state of mind, yeah, from the heart is mudita. So when we see people having birthday celebrations, anniversary celebrations, yeah, your grandfather, your grandparents, your parents, you know, celebrating something, the mudita flows. So the recitation is, yeah, that may I not lose, first of all, ourselves. May I not lose any happiness I have obtained. May my material gain always continue. May my spiritual gain always continue. May the causes of happiness grow stronger in my life. Then to those other people, may you not lose any happiness you have gained. May your material gains always continue. May your spiritual gains always continue. May the causes for happiness grow stronger in your life. And then after that, radiate it to the whole world. May all beings always be happy and joyful. Yeah. So that is all beings. And the last one is equanimity. When loving kindness, metta, compassion, karuna, sympathetic joy, mudita, pairs up with equanimity, our hearts become boundless. But when we don't have equanimity, we are limited only to the group, yeah, the people that we know. So equanimity opens up our hearts. It gives our heart the boundless aspect. So this is the way to recite it. Yeah, and you focus on yourself first, about how things go up and down. I am the owner of my own karma. Good or bad, karma is my true property, following me from life to life. So therefore, you become more balanced. May I accept my karma with equanimity. May I always be balanced in this changing world. So then think of all beings. All beings, yeah, if they are good, if they are in a good position, that is good karma. If they are not in a good position, that is karma. All beings are owners of their own karma. Good or bad, karma is their true property, following them from life to life. Without limitation, without boundary, may all beings accept their karma with equanimity. May all beings be balanced in this changing world. So go on making that wish. So your mind will recite, your heart will come up with the emotion. So when these two come together, it will be very, very strong. You have concentration. In fact, if you develop it deeply enough, you can go into jhana or absorptions. where the object and the mind become fused. Now our mind is mind, object is object, and the object can disappear from the mind. But when the object and the mind fuse, the object is the mind is the object, that is called jhana, right? Is absorption. So the last slide I have to show you is, this is what Mahatma Gandhi said. If you make a wish, you must be able to fulfill that wish yourself. So Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. If you want the world to be happy, you must make that change in yourself first. So with that, thank you very much for your kind attention, for listening. So we make the wish to practice the Brahma Vihara in order to build a kinder and happier world for all. Thank you so very much.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much, Brother Siang Chye, for this very interesting and lovely Dhamma talk. I think I personally have gained a lot from it. Yeah. I know time is pressing a bit, but then we still have a little bit of time to answer some questions. There are two questions that came through. Perhaps I think I shared with you, Brother Siang Chye.
Yes, yes.
What are the various sources of obtaining right view apart from listening to the Dhamma talks? Are there any other ways to gain besides Dhamma talks?
Yes, right view comes from the voice of another.
Yep.
So what it means is we listen first to a teacher or to anyone with more knowledge, a little bit more wisdom. There are really good teachers in the world. So we seek them out. And then we learn from them, right? So they are the teachers. The second thing is our own reflection.
Sure.
We must reflect very often on what we have learned. So which means during Sunday is a learning day. Even Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we think about it. Don't just, Sunday is Dhamma day. The rest of the time, anything goes. like that, we cannot learn very much. So we have to reflect. What did I learn? And if you have a friend, you discuss with a friend, this brother Siang Chye, he said this on the Sunday. What do you think? Do you think practical? Or is it just being too idealistic? Let us talk about it. So reflection is very important. The last one is from your own practice. You get the insight. Okay. When you do your practice, somehow the wool of ignorance is lifted from your eyes and you see it for yourself. That is real wisdom. It is not wisdom from another source. It is your understanding directly through your own experience. That is the way to, and then your view will change. So which means to say, whatever the monks under the Buddha 2,500 years ago, whatever they understood and saw, today, if you put it into practice, you will also understand and see. That is the important thing.
Absolutely.
Time is just, a phenomenon. It just happens. Yes. But the wisdom of what the Buddha discovered is still with us. So if we practice it, we will also understand it.
Okay, thank you very much, brother. There's one more question. How do wisdom arise by practicing upekkha?
Right. Wisdom, upekkha, in a way, it exists in every moment that we practice mindfulness. When we have deep mindfulness, upekkha is very, very deep. So when we practice upekkha together with mindfulness, sometimes it comes together. If you go into an upekkha state, there are times when the mindfulness itself, which means you are observing the nature of mind and body, appears by itself. And then that upekkha, because it is neutral in a way, you can see things as they really are. you have no emotional investment, as it were, because we are very we are invested. We have invested a lot in our children, in our job, in our rise up the corporate ladder. All that they are in. But when we see things clearly, without that, investment, we become neutral. We become very, shall we say, observant, and then we start seeing the real nature of life. So this gives rise, to wisdom. The reason why we don't have wisdom is because we are so attached. We have our preferences. So when there are no preferences, we can see it more clearly.
Thank you very much. All right. Just in summary, a little bit, I think it's important to really understand and practice Brahma Vihara. And the more important thing is, besides knowing, it's about doing. So I think a lot of people are like, they understand theory, they don't practice. But I think in reality, there must be a balance between the two. Very important. Your statement on this quality of life depends on quality of mind is absolutely correct, because the mind is the forerunner of all things. If the mind is in the right frame of mind, so to speak, I think everything should be in, I think, hopefully perfect harmony. Last but not least, I think despite the fact that this morning I don't see a lot of attendees, but then they may be listening to Facebook or YouTube channel. But I'd like to tell our brothers and sisters in the Dharma that this is absolutely a wonderful presentation, and it's a very impactful and a lot of goodness for all people, including lay Buddhists and so on and so forth. So please advise your friends or family members and associates, whoever, to watch this again on YouTube or Facebook, as it will be launched a bit later, and learn from it, because it's important to learn and understand Brahma Vihara and put in practice so we become better people, better Buddhists. Thank you very much, Brother Siang Chye.